Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I'm grateful that you're here today. We've never formally met, and I'm thrilled to already hear the discussion that's been going on about the SNAP program. And I will be chairing that subcommittee on nutrition, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. And we're going to take on a full-scale review of the SNAP program. It's intended to be a thoughtful, deliberative process. So as we approach reauthorization, we'll be prepared to make meaningful improvements to the program to benefit the recipients, the program administrators, and the taxpayers. I want to ensure that we protect the most vulnerable populations that we've already talked about here and find a collective means to not have hungry kids in America. That's a passion of mine. As legislators, we're accountable to the taxpayers who fund the program. We have an obligation to ensure that these programs run in the most efficient and effective way possible. To do this, it's going to take a systematic approach to reviewing the various aspects of the SNAP program, from its overall mission down to the administration of benefits and ultimately the recipient experience. The review process will include a range of stakeholder perspectives, including current and former recipients, nonprofits, the on-the-ground service providers, states and localities, the food industry, nutrition experts, and policy researchers. I know you have an incredible history, and I commend your history on being active in this program. You've been a positive force, and I appreciate that as well for the changes that came out in the last Farm Bill. One of the things I am asking for is your commitment to fully engaging with us on this dialogue and this thoughtful, deliberative process that we're going to embark upon, and that your staff will be a useful resource to us so we all get to the end goal here. And I just wanted that just to give you the opportunity to say that you're going to be a willing partner and not be weary in well-doing. So, sir?
We obviously will cooperate and try to be as helpful as we possibly can in the review that you undertake.
Well, and I believe we share the same goal. We want to see what works too. And we want to be able to stand by some of the programs you've already been talking about here for the last hour and a half. And I appreciate that you're holding the task of getting that stuff done, even from the new Farm Bill. I also wanted to just go on the record quickly, like many of my colleagues here, on the issue with the WOTUS program, the Waters of the U.S. I live, obviously, in northern Indiana. We have about 12,000 family farms. This has been one of the general concerns since I was even elected to Congress. And I just want to make sure that you are on board. And I appreciate some of your answers in this, but being able to stand up in the position you're in and fight for both rural and urban farms, as this is one of the most devastating regulations that I hear about my district. Could you just take just a second and just speak to that again?
Well, first of all, we have made a concerted effort through myself directly with the administrator and through our staff, senior staff, and through our technical staff to do what we can to educate folks at EPA as they formulate policy on the impacts of potential policies on folks in the real world. Secondly, we have encouraged Administrator McCarthy to actually talk to farmers, to go out and visit farm areas, which she has. Third, we've encouraged the administrator to meet regularly with commodity groups so that there is a vehicle for which they can express concerns. And we have clearly indicated some issues that have arisen, especially as I related to earlier with ephemeral streams. And the reality is that those of us who own farmland are very familiar with those circumstances and situations, and it is a very difficult task. And so we have conveyed that. Now, it is a sister agency, and I have to respect that. And it's sort of like asking you to make sure the Senate does what it should do. Well, you can't dictate to the Senate, can you? Or you try, maybe, but
true. But
not very.
I appreciate that, and I do appreciate the bully pulpit though you do have. I think there's a difference when you're a secretary and you have the opportunity to speak to another secretary. I would just encourage you to keep holding the line for the family farmers. They don't feel like they're being heard by this administration. So I feel like with my fellow Hoosier farmers, they feel like there's really nobody at the table arguing for them. Well, but I want to thank you for what you've done for it.
If I can respond to that, there are a multitude of ways in which this department is speaking up for and defending and advocating on behalf of American farmers. We were engaged in making sure that folks across the country understood the importance of having a farm bill to them, not just to the producers, but to the entire country. We have been very aggressive in our trade promotion. We've been very aggressive in opening up new markets here locally so that big guys and small guys can coexist and prosper. This department is not very well understood by a lot of folks, and we're trying our best to make sure that everybody understands how significant and important it is. And I go out and speak to groups all across the country in an effort to try to make sure that rural America and farmers are not forgotten.
I appreciate that, sir. And I was one that voted for the Farm Bill 3 times, every which way it came, every which way up but loose. And I appreciate that as well. And I want to commend you for that. But I wouldn't be doing my duty as well if I didn't stand up for Hoosier farmers today and say, thank you, and please keep them in mind. We appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gentle lady's time has expired. Mr.